Good afternoon. Believe everybody's here. It's coming today. The County Commission on Disability. Call the County Commission. Copies to start. Maybe call to order. What was the word? Call to order. We'll call to order. Thank you.
Can we check if we're getting sound? Can we have someone give us a comment so we can just see if we're able to hear everybody?
Hello, it's Sheila.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to turn our sound up just a little bit here in this room. Thank you, Sheila.
So, first thing in the business is to have a roll call to hopefully establish a quorum.
All right, let me start the roll. Linda Baker,
Yeah,
Amber Banner. Looks like she's absent. Luke Barber. I don't see Luke. David Forrest. No. Gabriella Garbero.
Here.
Thank you. Stephen Harris.
Here.
Thank you. Josh Lewis. No. Stephanie McDowell. No. Brandon Morris. No. Sue Orton. She let me know that she would not be able to attend today. Cheryl Rose. Here. Thank you. Sheila Sudarwala.
Here.
Thank you. Robin Wallen.
Here.
All right, thank you. We do not have a quorum.
so therefore we can move last month meeting on April's meeting. So we got 2 months of meetings that need to be approved.
I'll keep my eye out and we'll see if anyone maybe joins late.
So that means September is when we come back. So wait on that. Further chairperson's report. I really don't have anything to report in regard to the universal design proposal. I know that I spoke to Caroline because of the odor of the convention, and we would like to go forward with it. I don't know if Cheryl had the opportunity to speak to that lately.
I did speak to him a couple of weeks ago, just very briefly. I'm somewhere else, and he said trying to set up a meeting with IT about about the whole reporting issue and how that might work.
Okay, so hopefully we can receive some of this with someone by September. We can get going. So,
I'm sorry, what was the IT?
Thing about he needed to meet with IT, and I believe, if I understood correctly, that it was about the reporting issue that we discussed with Shalanda Webb. That was one of the issues that the home builders had, was about reporting and keeping the records.
I think they both had questions. But that really concludes my report, so I'll move on to the ADA coordinator report.
All right, thank you. At the May meeting, there was a request to be able to review the annual report from the Office of Community Development. So I did reach out to Amy Ellis, who said that she was still finalizing that report and she would send it once completed. I checked in on Friday, she was out of the office, so I don't have that yet. As soon as I have it though, I'd be happy to share that out. So I think we'll have a break until September. I can still send you guys that information. Like,
Yes, please.
that's one yes. Okay, so I will go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'm trying to think if there's anything extraordinary for me to report. It's a lot of working with job accommodations, a lot of providing training to our employees. I've been working with different departments and offices. They'll have me sometimes review their communications and make sure if they maybe have a statement offering accommodations, that looks good, that it makes sense, that the terminology is good. And looking at different processes that we do, the justice services, for example, they're doing some draft provisions of their like pat down and search policy. So looking at that and making sure that I'm keeping an eye out, make sure that we're anything that might relate to people with disabilities and the ADA, that we're covering those things. I think what I might ask of you all at maybe the next meeting would be if you had any feedback on maybe innovations that you've seen, maybe your employer does, or you've seen an organization do that have been helpful to you. I'm always seeing different, for lack of a better word, products or apps and things. Someone pitched to me the idea of a phone app to open like power assist doors or automatic doors, that would be better than using, I guess, a motion detection or the push plate. I'm not sure if it would be any better, but I thought it was interesting. I also had heard about an application called, I think it's called IRA Explore, which is on someone's phone, and maybe if they have a low vision or are blind, they would have someone use their phone camera to see their surroundings and help them describe what their surroundings look like. I think it was for kind of navigation, I believe, or being able to read signs. And there's a same company, IRA, has like an ASL model where you would pull up an interpreter on your cell phone, kind of have that at your fingertips while you're interacting with a certain organization or business. So when I see things like that, I think, well, are these commonly used? What are the drawbacks? Is it something that we should use? Is there an appetite for their use? So I'd be really curious if you all have some experiences with certain innovations or ideas that might be something that St. Louis County should consider.
Well, I could see that last one you just described as being very useful. It's kind of like Google Translate, that people use when they travel. I could see that to be useful.
Yeah, it looked like the it's called IRA Explore, which was for vision. It's something that a person could actually have their own personal subscription to and use it whenever they feel like it. The other one that was for sign language, having an interpreter on your phone, that was the business would have to sponsor it. Or you'd have to have a package that you purchase. It would be something that individuals just, I guess, can buy for themselves.
But if you purchased it, would it be on every computer? How would it, who would have access?
People would be using their personal device.
This is Robin. I've actually had experience with IRA, and I can give you a little more feedback on that. There's two different ways that IRA is used. One is that you have a personal subscription. The other is that a business or organization actually pays a subscription for free access. And then what it does is it connects you to an interpreter who will describe the what's around you. They can help with jobs. They can actually, there's different things that are set up with different companies where they can work with TeamViewer and work with people who are blind or low vision as far as doing their job. And then there's that one cost. There's also another app called Be My Eyes, which is a free app. And that one is also used with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. So there's a couple of different things like that. And Ira works pretty well. It's kind of expensive, but I had it for a while. I don't use it anymore, but I have had it and it is quite useful. And there's another thing that I'm going to bring up that you may be interested in for the county, which I was actually going to bring up in new business, but I'll tell you about it now real quick. Metro did a pilot project, which I'll go into more when we do transportation, but there's a system called Navilens, that's Navilens. And what it is it's a special type of barcode. And that barcode, you scan it with your phone and you can pick up information. And I was hoping maybe eventually, because I know this is going in at the state capitol, that maybe we could get it into the county government building. It's a great wayfinding app. And what's also really unique about it is that it has usefulness in 37 different languages. So if you don't speak English, you can get the same information from this code. So they call it a QR code, but it's not a QR code. It's like a little black box with a white frame around it. And then it has different colored little blue, yellow, and pink squares. And then you scan it with your phone and you don't have to be right on it. You can just kind of scan your phone around and pick it up. So that's another wayfinding thing. But I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. But anyway, that's just another one you might be interested in. And as far as Ira's been around a few years now and it works pretty well.
That's awesome. I think I really appreciate that input and I'd love to add this for our next agenda to talk just a little bit more about those ideas, like using the special QR code for wayfinding.
I want you to add this piece of technology called app live transcribe, which you have it on your phone and you can't understand. Fortunately, I had captioned you and a good media is no caption. You can read, it only picks up one conversation at a time. It's not going to pick up. It's not going to work if there's multiple conversations. So it's an app that you can put on your phone, and different people have used it. Like they go to the airport, they pop it up, open, so they can communicate with airport personnel. And I'm looking into it. And I'm actually going to the National Hearing Loss Convention this week. And in the highlight, all the big companies come in with the latest technology for people with hearing loss. So if I find something I like, I will share that with you. It's really very exciting what has come up. So I would, if you go to hearinglot.org, which is the national site, they should have a link to their technology with hearing loss. There's a lot out there that I don't use, but take a look. Anything else?
No, I don't think I have anything else to share at this
Okay, thank you. Going on to old business. Sue said she didn't go to the older adult commission. And I do know, speaking to Carol, they presented their report to council meeting. So that's all I know, but, do you hear anything, Dan?
I didn't have time.
Okay. Accessible transportation. Robin.
Okay.
Steve,
I don't know if Steve has anything, but I can tell you a little bit more about the Navulins and Good Maps pilot that Metro is doing. I did go down last week to the Civic Center station as one of the people that tested Navulins, and they had about 10 people come down and test it. They put the QR codes on the TBM machines. They also put it on the bus bays. They put it by where they put a code by where the train would stop. And they had people with various degrees of vision go down and test this out. And I think it went over really well. And so we went, we did the whole thing. They had representatives from Navulins here. And that program is supposed to start soon. There's another one that they're also doing called Good Maps, and Good Maps is a phone app. And basically that is a GPS, and Good Maps was here a few weeks ago and they remapped everything down at the Civic Center station. Good Maps is all over. You can get it anywhere, but some of it's more updated than other parts of it, but it does a good job of like guiding someone to like the stairs, to the platform, to the customer service building, anywhere that they might need to go. So those are two kind of exciting things that are going on with Metro. They did actually plan to put it, at first it was going to be on the bus stops along Lindell. I think that's now changed to Gravois down in the city as their pilot. So that's something they're working on. And going back to Navulins real quick, I did find out from the Navulins people that they are also working on an ASL model where you can scan the code and it will connect you with someone that can be an ASL interpreter, but that hasn't been perfected yet. So that was kind of exciting that they were doing that. So those were the big things that I know as far as Metro. They still have their advisory meetings that they're having, and both Smart and Raise are doing a lot of advocacy right now because it's coming up on when Metro gets their money for the next year. So I think both of those organizations are planning to have people at the next county council meeting when Bi-State gives their next report. So that's what I've got. I don't know. Do you have anything, Steve?
Nothing really new in that respect.
Dana has a question.
Oh, Robin, I was wondering if you could help me a little bit with the names of those again, just in case we wanted to try and look them up. I think one is Navulins, that
Yes. Navilens.
and the other one, I couldn't tell what you were saying. Was it Big Maps or
Good Maps.
Good Maps?
Yeah, and I can send you a link to both if you'd like me to.
Right. And then I know the Smart group. Did you say there's another group called Raise?
That's correct.
Can you tell me what Raise is?
Raise is a little bit different. Okay, Smart is affiliated with Paraquad. Raise is actually a group of us that some of us were former Raise members, but what we wanted to make it specifically a rider advocating group so that it's basically completely made up of riders, not affiliated with any other organization. And basically we do the same thing and hope to work with them, but you know, it's just separate because we have a little more freedom to do things the way we want to do them.
And is there a spelling for that?
Yes, it's RAISE, and it stands for Riders Advocating for this terror. It's terrible. I can't remember what it is now.
Because you're on the
Basically,
spot.
it's safe and reliable transit is what it is. I'll have to look it up again because all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. And there is a Facebook page, Raise Transit, and also a Facebook group, Raise Transit.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I wasn't aware of the ways, group. It's good to know.
Oh, I just remembered. It's riders advocating for inclusive, safe, and equitable transit.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Robin, for your input. Appreciate you being on top of this. So we're gonna, if that's that, we're gonna move on to, I hope you saw the handout that, Dana sent to us about the complete guide to accessible parking information for law enforcement. It specifically talks about what law enforcement could do to make sure parking spaces for people with disabilities are available. Is that something that we can share with, see Dan, I'm just wondering if Dana can share this information with the law enforcement, even though it comes from the United Spinal Association.
This is Steve. That document was created through the Accessible Parking Working Group with United Spinal, which I've been participating in. And what we had all wanted was to get a 1-page kind of self-explainer about that tries to outline the problem and something that could be given to law enforcement agencies as kind of a guideline about some of the things that are important to look at and try and enforce, because enforcement is a part of the solution, I think, moving forward. So it was designed specifically to give to law enforcement organizations. Um,
Steve, does your group have a plan for distributing it?
their plan is basically it's no not a, it's basically um, through the group members trying to reach out to their communities, which is what
I see.
um, kind of, there's no official plan to email it to different law organizations. I mean, they've got a pretty limited staff situation, so a lot of this, that's why they create these working groups to try and help bolster any of the staff work that they put into it and to help distribute things. So that's why I've been trying to pass on what we do. And I know the county is a very specific situation because there's so many different law enforcement organizations that um, divvy up areas of the county. So I know the county police, right? They only have certain areas that they're over, correct? And then so Hazelwood and Clayton and all these other places have their own police departments. So I would assume that in our county area, that would be something that we would have to, or I would have, to reach out to different police organizations.
And once a year, don't you do kind of a refreshing course with law enforcement about people with disabilities?
I know that they have someone who does specific training. It's not me. I know that they do training on a regular basis for that. So you asked, could I reach out and distribute this? Yes. I do wonder if it would be more impactful if it came from the group. And I'm also wondering if there might be any regional commission or public safety or police, where, you know, Commission on Disabilities could contact them and ask about, you know, making some comments at a meeting and distributing this that way. I haven't looked into what that is, but I'm just wondering, when we're talking about, oh, we have to think about what are all the different municipalities that have all their different enforcement. I wonder if there is a regional group that we might be able to.
I wonder if the governor's council, I mean, this is something that could go statewide. Governor's council or,
Distribute.
yeah,
Well,
or what's that other? what's the other-
well, the thing I can think of, I would have to ask Claudia about that, because when I was there, the state highway patrol used to do training there. I gave them information, but I can follow up with the governor's council, but I was thinking, just said about coming from this group, maybe this, like the safety group that you was talking about.
I'm saying, I'm assuming there is one. I do not know. So
Okay.
that's something that someone's gonna have to look up.
So if we were to try to present this to the county police, well, how would we do that? Does anybody, I mean, would we?
Well, I was hoping they could be added to the annual training that they receive about people with disabilities. It's another resource.
So that would mean meeting with the person who trains them, with the training officer.
Is it a range officer or is it Sultan?
I believe it's someone from an outside organization.
Okay.
I think every jurisdiction has a officer in charge of internal training, and that might be somewhere to start.
But
Is
I
there
guess-
someone in charge of it?
So I guess, are you asking me to set up a meeting? Are you asking to write a letter to someone? What are you
Okay.
I
asking?
just want to know who is it? And, yeah, I think we should have a meeting. That's the right thing.
Yeah, who is it that, if it's a public safety commission, that they could come to our meeting? I just thought it could be added on to the existing training. But like Sheila said, is there someone who's in charge of the training?
I will reach out to the chief of police. Get some more information.
Okay.
Not know the ins and outs of their training processes, I do not, so.
Just saying that this is a good handout to make sure our law enforcement can be effective in making sure that, they ticket people who park there.
I know that
Right.
I don't think Dana should do that. I think Dana should just find out who the person is so that we can meet with that person. Because it
Make it personal.
makes it
more than
personal.
just-
It makes it, you can tell people, you know, the kind of problems that people run into when they can't find parking or what the issues are.
So I'm saying, if we can find the contact.
Right.
To invite them and
Either that or.
share the issues, like Steve can talk about what he encounters. But anyway,
Yeah,
I just picked Steve.
yeah,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Steve.
No, I've got plenty of plenty of real life experience, so I would be happy to do that.
So if we can find out who we need to contact and invite them to the September meeting. What this guy. But that's just one part of it. We brought up this whole thing about parking because most places only have the minimum spaces required by ADA. Do we want to, let me back up. Is there any audience out there in country that adds more spots for people with disabilities?
Yes, and I forwarded that at one point, but there was I have to look for it. I don't have it right at the tip of my tongue, but there was I think it was in Virginia somewhere that they had locally in their area had increased the number that is laid out in the ADA, and they by United Spinal's estimation they're still short of what is needed, but at least it was a start in that direction. And again, United Spinal is lobbying as a whole to try and change the ADA requirements um, at the national level too, but they encourage us to try and pursue it at state and local levels as well. You know, because it's ADA is just it's a base requirement. There's nothing that says a state or a locality can't go and do a higher.
But since this is the last meeting, we adjourn for September, maybe you can do your research and wait that up and present it in September. Maybe by that time, you have a contact person too to talk about how to enforce the existing spot.
I mean, and if we wanted a separate meeting with, the police agency here or whoever the contact would be, we could do that too. That's, outside of the committee meeting, if we needed to.
I'm suggesting that once we know who this person is, they can come to our commission meeting and hear what we have to say in regard to lack of spaces, but meanwhile law enforcement can be more effective in pursuing ticketing people in the spots illegally.
Yeah.
see,
Another, yes. Yes. Oh, was another thing listed in there that there's some examples across the country is places that set up volunteer enforcement to kind of help the police. That's one of the things listed in that sheet. Um, and I don't know if that's something that can be looked at as well, but there are multiple examples.
Steve, is there a list of those? Because, I'd be willing to check out a few of them.
The local places.
Yeah, well, where they have the volunteer to see how it works.
Yeah, I'll look it up and I can try and send it on to Dana to pass on. But there's at least two in Texas, and I think that there was another one in Colorado um, where they have set up accessible parking enforcement, and it's basically like a volunteer force that has to go through certain training with the police force, and they have the ability to write tickets, but most of their work is related to education, basically.
Ah,
You know, so instead of writing a ticket, they try and go the route of educating on why those spots are important, but they do have, if needed, the ability to write um, tickets and things like that.
I noticed too,
Check with Columbia, Missouri, because I don't know if you remember Senator Chuck Graham. Chuck tried to do something like that in Columbia, Missouri. I don't know if that actually happened, because that was something that Chuck wanted, is to get a group of volunteers to be trained and um, take pictures and send it to the police officer, and they could ticket people. So we might have something in Columbia, Missouri, but I think we call it Texas because Les Frieden, who I used to know, that's still living, but anyway, he's from Texas, and I think he was involved in that.
Steve, another thing that was on that list for the police was about selling placards, handicap placards. I mean, how would the police know that?
You mean with people selling them?
Yeah, how would the police know about that?
Well, I think it would have to be reported to them, but and I'm not sure that that's necessarily something. I think that's people have to be aware of it. You know that
Is,
there are fake ones out there that are being sold.
do you know if that's widespread or?
Well, you can actually you you can go on Amazon and buy them. You know, they're out there, but of course they tell you that it's, you know, not, if there's disclaimers on what you buy, but you know, people, they don't care about that. They're just, you know, but and they look different in every state, so sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what is real and what's not. And I think more, it's more, to me, I think that was more of an educational thing for the local police, not for them to investigate or try and um, you know,
Oh, that's just, I had no idea that that
yeah.
even existed.
Buy them, Amazon.
Well, we should get Amazon, stop selling them.
Right. Yeah, that would be good too. But you know, they are out there, and like I said, they're just something that you can, they have disclaimers. This is not for use for, but I don't know why you would buy it if you weren't trying to use it.
Why don't you buy it if you are trying to use it?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, the ones that are issued by the state, isn't there some dates that tell you from this date to that date is effective?
There are dates, and I mean, there's discussions, and one of the things United Spinal's wanting to do is set up. Um, they're wanting to set up, like, for lack of a better term, experiments. They want some states to get involved that can start playing with like different ideas to try and combat fraud and abuse with these, you know, and there's been discussions about QR codes and other things to try and, you know, so that it can make it easier for police to determine who it belongs to and, you know, the validity on it without as too much effort. Um, so there's discussions, but they were looking at trying to create some sort of testing group with some volunteer with states that are willing to try different things to try and combat fraud. And every state issues them differently, and every state looks differently. So it's a little bit of a problem, but
Each one has a unique identifier on it, just like your driver's license has a driver's license number on it. Each placard has a unique identifier on it. And then it's in your, Department of Revenue records, who that placard was issued to and
Right. I mean, I think most of them will have something similar, but it's, part of it is that I don't think enforcement is a priority on any level with parking and parking issues. I don't think if I've never personally called, the police at a parking situation, but I know people who have, and you're very low priority for getting responded to in those situations most of the time. And I doubt that they're out there checking for, fraudulent parking passes and things like that.
yeah, if someone had one hanging on their mirror and you were just looking at their parked car, you wouldn't know whether or not the person it was issued to is using that vehicle or not, because it's not necessarily the person that the car is registered to.
And sometimes it's legitimate, like, I mean, I have a placard because my son and my husband, but when I drive my neighbor, she always takes her placard with her, in case she's with somebody who doesn't have one,
Right.
she needs it.
Right. And that's why we have a placard. Both of our vehicles have the plates, but we also have a placard in case I'm riding in another vehicle that's not one of my own. So there's legitimate reasons to have placards that aren't registered the car you're in too. So
It's really, I know that it's pretty easy to get a doctor to write a prescription for a placard. But
yeah.
selling placards, that's news to me, and that should be stopped some kind of way.
And maybe that's one of the things is when they check the placard, you mentioned identifier. Look for the identifier to make sure it's legitimate.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways I think that
Get the right person to come, it's that simple.
And so once we do that, do we want to send this report to the Committee on Disabilities of the county? I thought the report, which I was not able to download, but I thought it was really very good. It had really good statistics in it of the fact that there's not enough handicap spots.
was that the original like full report that United Spinal put out?
Yeah, the full report.
Yeah.
I don't know. Original full report like that.
But you had to click on when you said if you want to download the full report, click, which I did, go further down. It's not on that, it's on the whole.
At the web page, complete guide, accessible parking, free download.
Right. I couldn't download it, but I could open it. I would like to download it so I could actually print it. But I just thought that was really good. I think we ought to think about in September, how we want to use that report, to the county, Committee on Disabilities.
But I can see this report add to the fact that we need more than just minimum spaces. And it would be helpful. I say it's fresh in my mind now, but come July, August, I get going with other stuff. So try to remind that we need to do this sometime in the middle of August to be prepared.
And I wonder too, if a lot of times it's during the daytime when the handicap spaces are filled up, not in the evening. And, you know, if people see a lot of empty handicap spaces in the evening, they're gonna think, well, we shouldn't include, you know, we shouldn't make more spaces. I don't know if there could be some time frames on the, I mean, you know, on the signs. I'm just up there, sorry.
I think if you, I mean, say that I'm gonna take the gallery, if you add half a dozen more spaces, it doesn't really matter day or eve, but
Yeah. I was just there near the Deerbirds at this, in that strip mall, and the handicap spaces were filled. And but if I went there at 7 o'clock in the evening, that probably.
yeah, because most older adults get those placards, and they're gonna most likely shop during the daytime.
Well, I've taken to, I purchased some orange cones that I carry in the van with me. I park outside of the handicap spots so often that I'll park as far away as I can and I'll pull out the orange cones to block out the spot where my ramp comes out to, just because even if I can get a handicap spot, it may not be one that's big enough for my ramp. So there's just, yeah, it's an extra step that I have to go through. I mean, I went to Costco the other day and parked at the very back. I took a picture of it and then I sent it to the manager and complained about not having enough spots, which is a
Right.
regular, but it's just a regular thing. But
Story that you need to hear.
I think
Help explain, explain the workarounds that you've had to go to.
right. I agree.
Yeah, so that'll give us lead to hear your stories, Steve.
mm-hmm.
Okay, but there is a piece, how we going, I guess we have to think about how we want to approach. You mentioned, Cheryl mentioned information from Virginia to submit it to the Disabled Committee. And I think that's a good idea after our September meeting.
Yeah, let's get stuff together.
All right.
And do
I'll
the-
try and I'll find that stuff. I've got it in my save folder somewhere, and I'll try and forward it on to Dana so it can be distributed again. I know I sent it at one time, but
I think you did. Maybe we can find it, but
Mhm.
good if you send it again.
yeah.
Someone gonna draft like a letter send to the.
I think we're waiting until September.
Well, I'm going to compose a letter now, wait till closer to the day. On the first,
You never get them to get the universal design thing done. Then we can really delve into this parking issue.
Is there a separate committee you're talking about, or you're talking about this
Just-
commission?
No. I mean, I'm sure that the committee could think about two things at once, but really nice if
we've worked
dispose of that and put all of our more concentration on the parking issue.
we just worked with the UD information for so long. We thought by now it'd be done. So it's just taken a long time. So,
That's
Yeah,
where
we have to get-
parking, if we do parking, that's gonna take a long time. It's worth doing.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Steve, for your information. If you could just follow up, look for it. But I don't think we need to, I leave it up to people. If you want it now, fine, but I tend to forget about it because I don't have to wait till September. So I would rather see the information come out in the middle of August, but that's just me. Moving on. Do we have any other comments?
Have anyone register?
We'd like to call a motion to adjourn. But before I join, it's not listed here, we don't have any new business. New business, okay. So I'm calling a motion to adjourn. So moved. Sure. Who wants to second?
I'll second.
Let's see. Thank you. The next meeting is September 8th. Put it on your calendar. And, if there's any changes in for the meeting, please contact Dana and I. Thank you for attending. Have a great summer and keep cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should contact people who have.
I've been meaning to write a letter. I kind of know why Stephanie is not coming.
Well, Stephanie's been here, some of them.
She hasn't come for the last 3 months.
Stephanie, wasn't she here last time?
Stephanie was on the meeting today. She joined late.
And I think she was here up there.
Yes. I didn't
But
see
we haven't had Luke in a long time. And somebody else's name, that young woman